I do have a lot to say about this, Jenna. Number one, this is not why you brought in Russell Westbrook. You brought him in to win a championship. But one of the fringe benefits is that without LeBron James, whether that is for an entire game or week or stretch or whatever it may be, or whether it's just for some time during the game when LeBron's resting on the bench while he's playing in a game, you will be better without LeBron. And that's a huge benefit. The Lakers have been 23-35 in the previous 3 seasons without LeBron when he's injured. Now they can still be a good team without LeBron, and you saw that last night. That's a huge benefit. They wouldn't have been the 7th seed in the play-in tournament last year had they had a guy like Westbrook to carry them while LeBron was out. So that can get LeBron more rest if he'll take it. You know, like tonight, he's questionable. Maybe if they don't have a Russ and they need a win, LeBron plays. So that's a benefit. You also learned, and this might sound funny, but you also learned that Russell Westbrook is still terrific. Like, you're going to see, as he's playing with LeBron, his numbers aren't going to be what we're used to. He's going to still be adjusting and looking bad at times. We have to remember this dude is still a terrific player. Obviously, Anthony Davis showed us that he's back. All right, he's not the AD of last year. He's the AD of 2 years ago. He was phenomenal last night. So all of that's well and good. But ultimately, Nick, when it comes down to the main thing, which is title or bust for the Lakers, I don't think we learned a thing. You know, because the fact of the matter is that Russ is not going to be playing without LeBron. And Anthony Davis said we need Russ to be Russ and do this when LeBron's out there. Well, he can't do that when LeBron's out there. That's not best for the Lakers. And LeBron or AD is going to not be able to shine if Russ is doing all of that. And so to win the championship, those 3, just like we've said at the beginning of the year, still have to figure out how they can all excel together. So this was nice, but ultimately we didn't really learn anything about how they're going to play better together.
We didn't learn how they're going to play better together, but I would argue, and stay with me here, Broussard, for a moment, it was still important, and here's why. I'm one of the last people remaining that thinks regular season basketball has some real import on who wins the championship, if for no other reason than seeding and home court advantage can matter. I think you saw it last year with the Lakers. If they're not the 7th seed and drawing a Suns team early, and LeBron in the first round doesn't have to be fully healthy because they have an easier first round opponent, then maybe the entire season goes differently. And your point about the Lakers were terrible the last 3 years without LeBron. The Cavs were 4-23 in LeBron's second stint in Cleveland without him. By the way, he played all 82 the year they traded Kyrie. So that means the Cavs, it was the 3 years with Kyrie and Kevin Love when LeBron sat 4-23. So being able to win games that LeBron sits, I would sit him tonight. You're playing Oklahoma City, give him the night off, and see if these guys can run it back again. So I do think that was important. I also think that Vogel is learning what this team needs on the fly, and sometimes a box score jumps out at you. Broussard, Malik Monk was plus 31 in 39 minutes, which means the Lakers were minus 27 in the 14 minutes he didn't play. I think the numbers are going to start jumping off the page that you must have a shooter on the court, not only for the shooting he adds, and I want your reaction to these 2 pictures we're going to show, but what it allows for the other guys. Show Anthony Davis's shot chart, then show Russell Westbrook's shot chart. AD did some mid-range stuff, but he lived at the rim, that's where he did his damage. And then show Russ. It was all at the rim. All of it. I mean, he had the 1-3 that we showed in the highlight. Everything else is at the rim. So, Broussard, I do think you're right that they need to play together a lot to figure out what works for the postseason. But to be in the best position in the postseason, Broussard, they got to win games like this one, and in years past, they wouldn't have.
Well, and I think, Nick, you and I, before the season, we're saying you got to open up the floor, and that's why you need AD at the 5, right? What you saw, AD at the rim Russ at the rim, that's because they did have the shooting out there with Monk. And we're baffled that they kind of have gone the opposite way with trying to play big with DeAndre Jordan in there so much, or Dwight Howard. So that shouldn't have had to be learned, but maybe they did learn that last night. And I think, Nick, LeBron shooting so well at the start from three-point land has kind of kept Vogel from seeing that because, we got LeBron out there hitting threes. So he's our shooter. But you're right, Malik Monk, I mean, if he can continue, and he shot it well last year, he hadn't been a great three-point shooter early in his career. But last year he was very good. If he can continue that, that could be huge wilds for these Lakers.
Well, listen, I think that is one of the reasons Russ doesn't get enough credit is he is a guy who you cannot, for good or for bad, if you just watch him, you don't know, is this a game 6 of a conference semifinals? Or is this the 6th game in 13 nights in February? You don't, and teams that are championship or bust need that. Because it's easy to lose a sleepy Monday night game or Tuesday night game to the Spurs. Like, that can happen. And the Spurs, to their credit, they only have the one win. But they've actually played well this year, considering the fact they don't have any star players. So I do think Russ is good in that regard. I also think the Lakers, you know, it's interesting. They wouldn't tell you this, but AD goes down writhing in pain. They have to play 5-on-4 on a critical possession. And the very next play down the court, they throw an alley-oop to him. Like that he doesn't get to. I don't think they were that worried that Anthony Davis was deeply injured. I think they know, AD.
Who'd he learn that from, Nick?
This is AD.
Who's he learning that from?
Hold on. That is
every time you go down, it looks like a career-ending injury.
Yes,
yeah, I feel like Anthony Davis is in his own category in that one. But one other very quick note, Frank Vogel. You're an NBA champion. You did a great job with the Pacers. I understand you know more about basketball than I do. I get it. But you can never play Russ and Rondo at the same time. You wouldn't play DeAndre Jordan and Dwight Howard at the same time. And yet, for some reason, they think Russ and Rondo have shared the court this season for 20 minutes. The Lakers have been outscored by 23 points in those 20 minutes. If you extrapolate it to a full game, they would lose that game 149-94. He did it in the first quarter and the third quarter. It can simply never happen. These are simple things that should never happen again. That's a minor point, but it can't happen. It just can't happen, Jenna. Russ and Rondo cannot share the court for one more minute the rest of the season. There's no reason for it.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.